10B?
To what?
Is that fine? Okay. 10B, request the council work with the queer residents of Worcester and our allies to hire a third party with LGBTQIA+ and BIPOC expertise in Lens to investigate Council Nguyen, Council Hajiai's concerns regarding transphobia, discrimination, and toxic council culture. And Council Hajiai, Council Nguyen. Before we, I just want to have the city of Worcester come up, because some people asked whether or not we have to go into executive session on this or not, or where's the line drawn. I'm not sure. It depends on the. Just explain to people.
Skip 10A?
There are laws that govern this, and not just.
Through the chair, when a public body is discussing allegations against an elected official, a municipal employee, or an individual, it may enter executive session to discuss such allegations.
So you should go into executive session to discuss this?
Through the chair, if you're going to discuss allegations against.
Allegations.
Yeah,
So
or accusations or complaints against an
So there's
individual.
no accusations that will be discussed. Can we have that discussion then? Is that?
Through the chair, if you want to take a vote on whether to have an investigation or not, then you can do that.
Okay.
Excuse
So,
me, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, Council.
I believe my order does request that the city council take a vote
Yeah, okay.
on an investigation. And so what I'm hearing from the city solicitor is the same, which is what the public has also asked us to take a vote.
Okay, so we'll take a
But
vote.
I'd like to speak on it first.
Okay. It's that we can't make accusations, but, right, okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Tim B, who's that? I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead.
Are you recognizing me to speak on the item, Mr. Chair?
Excuse
Are
me?
you recognizing me to speak on the item?
Yes.
Okay.
Just to let you, taking into account what the city solicitor just said, that's all.
Sure. Then, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll speak on this item because it is important. It has been weighing on me, on the community for 4 weeks. It's 4 weeks straight now. And in these 4 weeks, Mr. Chair, I have sat amongst my colleagues wondering how they would feel if one of us allegedly called them a slur of any kind, directed at a protected status, and if their origin story was dismissed and devalued. I will speak from my personal experience that our families and personal stories are precious. We pass them on to our children, to our grandchildren. And it is through our stories, whether they speak of the journey of being a non-binary person, a trans person, a member of the LGBT community, as many stories we heard today, or fleeing our countries due to unrest with our families. It's through these stories that we get to preserve our roots. We talk to our children and our family members about our values. We communicate them to our community. We preserve our sense of home, our sense of identity, our very existence. I don't know really how any of my colleagues feel about the allegations, because other than one city councilor, and that's Councilor King, no one has reached out. But what we have seen is that amid weeks of deflection, avoidance, victim blaming, or outright silence about allegations of a colleague reducing another colleague to an it multiple times, while allegedly also accusing another one of lying, we are now faced with a final choice, which is this order is all about. Will this council body make a decision to investigate these allegations? Will this council body take them seriously? Will it take them as seriously as it would have taken them had the same behavior been directed at two different members of the city council? Does doing anything other than this sends the message that it is permissible for any of us, any future elected officials, to allegedly hurl slurs, allegedly attack any one of us of a protected class, while facing zero accountability for their actions. It means that in this political climate, when the LGBTQI+ community and its members are facing attacks, threats, erasure, immigrants and refugees are being hunted and demonized, that we cannot protect two members of the city council body from similar rhetoric coming allegedly from within our own house. Mr. Chair, I have a feeling I know how this vote is going to go tonight. We may find 101 excuses as to why this body cannot and should not investigate this type of unprecedented conduct. I can only speak for myself as an elected official, as someone who has had to explain to my own mother and to my own children that their mother is not a liar, that to do anything other than conduct an investigation condones this behavior. It gives it permission. It gives it life. It allows it to grow outside the public eye when the lights in the city chambers are off. It says then, when these lights go off, councilors can act differently than they would in the public eye. This decision needs to be made publicly, Mr. Chair. I didn't cause this 4 weeks of community members coming and asking for a simple, genuine acceptance of harm done, and neither did Councilor Nguyen. When we are politically opposed to people we fundamentally disagree with, we fundamentally disagree with their political viewpoints or policies that they support, we hash those things out in public, in the arena of ideas, not behind City Hall doors. So I'll close with this. To the colleague whose alleged decisions to use dehumanizing words and lash out against two colleagues, I really wish that you possessed an ounce of the courage Councilor Nguyen has, an ounce of the courage of the staff person who came forward to speak the truth, and an ounce of the courage that it took my mom, my dad, my 85-year-old grandmother, and my 17-year-old self to flee our country and to live our lives with integrity. Mr. Chair, I wasn't planning on saying this last statement, but if it is true that there are other colleagues in this chamber or any community members who have allegedly been witness to the dehumanizing of another colleague, of another human being, that I would hope that they either come forward or they make peace with their conscience.
Councilor Nguyen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, a lived experience is not an accusation. Something that someone experienced is not an accusation. The same way that the people who came to speak for over 8 hours, what they shared about their experience is not an accusation, the same way that what happened is not an accusation. But, you know, I'll just say that. And I want to also note the difference between speaking about an accusation and voting on an investigation. I don't see why this would even need to go to an executive session if we are voting towards an investigation. I hope that is clear. And, you know, I think it's important as an elected body, as people who represent the people of Worcester, to model accountability, transparency, and truly humanness. And though this past month leave me with almost zero faith in this council, I do have a few questions. And so, through the chair to the city clerk, did you complain that my remote usage of Zoom was impacting your job as a clerk?
Through the mayor to the councilor, I don't know what you're referring to, but I have not made those comments.
I am referring to when Mayor Petty said that on the council floor. So, to the chair, Why would you say that?
I don't think I said that, but go ahead.
You did. You did.
Not like
The
that.
first week I was gone, and we could play the clips. We could play the clips later, but that's fine. That's fine. We got more issues going on here. Through the chair to the city clerk, I meant to ask this while you were away. Why did you not allow the ceasefire resolution onto the council agenda back in October? Former city solicitor Mike Traynor said he did not say it couldn't be on, and that it should be on because of the consistent ruling of Rule 11. So why was it not on?
Through the mayor to the council, if you'd like a report, you can make a motion. I can provide you a report. I think I did email this body my opinion. If you don't agree with my interpretation of the rules, you can certainly suspend the rules. You can certainly amend the rules. There's a lot of rules in this city council that you can certainly do.
Yeah, there's a lot of rules that is just inconsistently ruled. But I will say this, through the chair to the city clerk, why did you not allow the citizens petition for the city council to have a third-party investigation to look at the concerns of Council Hajiai and mine, and it had to go through the council as an order?
Through the chair to the councilor, I don't believe it was within the proper responsibility of a petitioner. It's certainly within this body. You can certainly discuss it. I do think the nature of the conversation should be with the body, but if you don't agree with my interpretation, you can certainly amend those rules of the city council.
Which rule are you referring to that says that a citizen cannot petition that?
Through the chair to the councilor, what I'm referring to is items pertaining to public participation when it comes to items before the city council.
That's
What's that?
it is around the toxic council culture.
We can stick to
Through the chair to the councilor, if you're accusing me of being part of the toxic council culture, I don't appreciate that.
Discrimination.
With all due respect, Mr. Mayor, I do not appreciate being accused of that.
Point of order.
This is not an accusation. I'm asking.
We need to
we need to
move
go in
it.
executive, go in executive session, or we can take a vote on this.
I am
I
asking
know, I
questions.
don't want to. Let's just, he answered the question.
What?
I thought he just answered the question.
Okay, that's it. I don't appreciate my colleagues accusing me of not following the order and what is on the order. And do you want me to read it out loud again? It says, request city council work with queer residents of Worcester and our allies to hire a third party with LGBTQIA+ and BIPOC experience and lens to investigate Councilor Nguyen and Councilor Hajiai's concerns regarding transphobia, discrimination, and a toxic council culture. So I'm asking questions about that. I hope that is clear. I was told by the Madam Solicitor that she couldn't decide for council what could go on and what couldn't go on regarding the citizens petition, and yet your assistant clerk, AJ Potto, said they were just following the legal department. And so, I mean, I really don't appreciate hiding behind the legal department either, but let me keep going. I just want to ask, through the chair to the city clerk, what gives you the authority to decide for council when the law department said they would leave it up to the council to decide, and you still decided to exclude the citizens petition from our agenda and the ceasefire resolution?
I think you already answered it.
Through the chair to the mayor, at this point, I don't think I could provide a report if you like. I do take offense to naming my deputy city clerk. He does not work directly for the city council. He works for the city clerk. If you have an issue with how I run my department, you can certainly make a motion for me to bring back a report. But I do think the deputy city clerk should not be involved in these conversations.
I was just naming a fact. I'm sorry if I
And also, I think, through the chair, with all due respect, Councilor, you should apologize for the call that you made to the deputy city clerk on Friday.
Anyways, let me keep going.
Okay. Okay, what's that? Yeah, I just did that, yeah.
Out of order.
Yeah. We're going to, let's
Let
get
me-
to the vote on this. Go ahead.
What?
Go ahead.
Okay, yes. let me continue. I actually think that was out of line, and that was very inappropriate of our clerk, but I will continue. Through the chair to the city clerk, I shared with HR about my concerns for retaliation for just not myself, but also staff. And under your management, over the last weeks, there's been new rules that have been hindering my ability to be effective as a city councilor, such as not being able to meet with my city council aide outside of City Hall for work, even though I've been very clear about not feeling safe here, yet that has been implemented. And I know some councilors discourage eating and using the microwave, so I do that so I could eat with my city clerk to make sure that to my city staff so they could eat. And another rule that has been implemented is that my statements have to go through the city clerk's office. What is your reasoning for this, and how is it not textbook retaliation, even defined by our own city's website?
Through the chair to the council, I think the solicitor should step in at this point. This is personnel-related matters that we're discussing in an open conversation.
There's a legal issue here. We have a person that does work for the council's office that we shouldn't be discussing in public at all.
I am talking about my experience of retaliation. That is textbook retaliation based on our website.
Okay.
So this has nothing to do with that staff. It has to do with me and my inability to be a counselor when a city clerk is creating new rules. That, to me, is textbook retaliation.
Okay.
So can I get an answer?
What's the question again?
Let me repeat this. Through the chair to the city clerk, I shared with HR my concerns about retaliation for not just myself, but also under your management. In the last weeks, there's been new rules that's been implemented that would hinder my ability to be an effective counselor, such as not being able to meet with my city council aide outside of the city hall for work, especially since I have stated that I do not feel comfortable here. And I know some counselors discourage eating and using the microwave, and so I go to lunch with my city staff so that I can make sure that they eat. Another rule is that my statements have to go through the city clerk's office. What is the reasoning for this, and how is it not textbook retaliation, even defined by our own city website? That's my question.
No, hang on. Go.
If that doesn't fall under textbook reasons to go into executive session, I don't know what does.
Yes,
Mr. Chairman,
Madam
point of
Solicitor.
order. My understanding of what was stated here by our counsel, about our solicitor, is that we may. We may. So,
Okay, hang on.
so again, if there's a motion on the floor, that's one thing. But a point of order, it's a may, not a shall, which is also contradicting Councilor Bergman's other 10A, but we get into that when we get there.
You know, I don't actually need an answer. I'll retract that question because it's clear to me. But I will just keep going. I will just reshift the focus. I just want to ask, through the chair to the city manager, the Queer Coalition has met with the chief equity officer, and the council has passed the $500,000 for the Queer and Trans Resiliency Fund, and there's not a lot of clarity around your commitment. It seems like we request for you to consider this, and so I just wanted to get your commitment and to know where you're at.
Mr. Manager?
Through the chair of the council, I am committed to having conversations about what this means, and that's why the equity officer and also myself are going to be meeting with some members of the community to understand what that looks like, and then take that into consideration as we're preparing the budget for the FY26.
Yeah, I'm sorry to report back. I don't think there's a lot of trust in that from what I hear from the community. And so I really want to ask you, are you committed to following the political will of the council who voted to pass the $500,000 for the Trans and Queer Resiliency Fund?
Through the chair to the council passed the ability for the city manager to consider this request. Now, I also need to consider that as part of the budget allocations when we look at the FY26 budget.
Yeah, disappointing as well as the council, and that's really sad. That, you know, both the legislative and executive branch and our city's clerk, that is really disappointing. But I will pivot, because I do want to say that I do believe in growth and accountability. And, you know, I think what our community has shown here and said multiple times is we expect not perfection, but growth. And so through the chair to Councilor Merrill Carlson, as someone who may be related or an elder or later an ancestor to someone in your lineage who may be queer or even non-binary, I wanted to offer you this time to apologize.
That's,
Point of order.
the time is about up.
It's okay. I got one more question, and that's for you, Mr. Chairman, which is, why did you ignore the Queer Coalition's email for a whole month to issue a public apology, even though our city council passed it?
I did apologize for, oh, no, I'm good, go ahead.
So, it's okay if you don't want to answer. I will also give you the same opportunity I gave Councilor Merrill Carlson to model an apology as a leader and someone who may once again have a queer or non-binary person in your family and your lineage. All right. I just want to say thank you to everyone who have shown up and held this council accountable. And I just want to ask and invite folks who are, you know, our allies in our community to walk out of this room after the sanctuary vote, because clearly this council body really is, I guess, disappointing and won't hold themselves accountable. So I said this in the beginning of my first term, and I'll say it again, which is, you know, the moment right before you misgendered me, Mayor Petty, which is you can't celebrate us without making a real seat at the table for us, one that we earned and fought for. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Councilor Corio, followed by Councilor, oh, you were first, Councilor Carlson.
She can go first.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. As we've heard tonight, there's an awful lot of allegations, and I think you heard the word allegations. We're stuck here tonight because we also have an individual employee that we cannot bring into this discussion. There are avenues. If people feel that I did something so disparaging, I will say to you that you have the opportunity to go to MCAD as well as the Attorney General's office. And I welcome you to do that. Because if you believe that those are the things that I said, then again, I welcome you to do that. Again, allegations. And we have sat here week after week after week for allegations. Okay? No, there is no evidence.
Everyone believes you called them that.
And I've been respectful to each and every one of you who have spoken. You're not going to bully me. That's not going to happen. Again, Mr. Chairman.
We'll close the meeting if we have to, but go ahead.
Yeah, again, Mr. Chairman, as I said, allegations, nothing has been, never at one point has the clerk brought anything to me in regards to any issues whatsoever. So again, allegations, and again, there's opportunities for my colleagues. If they feel as if I've done them any wrongdoing, then there are places for them to go. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you. Council Corio?
I just have a motion to file this item, please.
Mayor Joseph Petty.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would say that in regards to the clerk's statement that night, I was referring to the idea that every time we have to do a roll call, I say who's online, not just Councilor One's online, other councils are online. So we need to do a roll call for the whole meeting. And it's the first thing I ask them, who's online? I know the point is, then you have to do a roll call, and I was accused, Mr. Chairman, of one night not enforcing the rules right. I think you had stated you always go in the suspension with this an aye vote, but no, I had to do a roll call vote for that. Now, as far as like transgendering, I do apologize. I did apologize to you, and I still stand by that apology. And thank you. You're welcome. And we've learned a lot here. We can come together as a community and make sure that we're strong here in the city of Worcester. If I made the wrong statement, I apologize, and I apologize back then. So I stand by that. I'm not the only person in this council chamber who's done that. And so anyways, we need to be strong here as a community as we move forward, because we have one enemy, it's down in Washington. And I think we all can agree on that. And so let's go for the vote on this. Thank you.
Jenny Pasillo, District 1.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We're in a moment that requires us to lead with clarity, integrity, and a commitment to fairness. Everyone deserves to work in an environment where they are treated with dignity and respect. No one should feel dehumanized. No one should feel uncomfortable. This is a hard job, and I'm not trying to complain, but this is difficult at times. We are facing serious allegations, and I believe we owe it to the people of Worcester and to ourselves to handle this moment with fairness, integrity, and a commitment to the truth. Our duty as public officials is not to just react, but to ensure that any process we undertake is one that respects due process, protects all parties involved, and uphold the credibility of this body. Fairness should be our guiding principle. I am always happy to work with the Queer Coalition, and I'm happy to work with anyone who wants to at any time. I really believe the Commission Against Discrimination, they are equipped to conduct an investigation. They have expertise, legal authority, and neutrality to make sure that everything is thoroughly examined. I just think it would be more fair to have something that no one can question. You know, when I ran on accountability and I ran on transparency, and I truly believe in both of those things. And this council, I mean, we sit here week after week, and it's just, I wish we could just find a way, and I don't know how that could happen, to kind of work together. You know, when I'm home and my kids and they fight, I always say, how do we make it right? How do we make it right? Like, you acknowledge what you did, and then what's the next steps? Like, what are our next steps? And I really believe that MCAD would be a place where they could give a thorough report that no one could question. Going forward, I think we need to take a hard look at how we conduct ourselves. You know, the public sees us fighting. I get the emails and the calls, even from friends, like, what are you doing? What do you guys do on Tuesday? And I don't know. I mean, you know, I think going forward, we need to be respectful and open and engage with each other in a way that works for all of us. Like, we all need to respect each other, not just one side or the other. I think there needs to be a way where we can find common ground and work together. You know, I want to commit to setting a higher standard for how we engage at public servants. And I would love going forward to look at decorum. You know, we have to adhere to Robert's Rules of Orders. That was written in 1878. And it is confusing and it's really dense. And we also have to adhere to a charter. Like, we do have rules and we do have boundaries to adhere to. And I know other cities have done this where we can look at the rules and try to find a way going forward that if any complaints come up, regardless of us being our own legislative body, which I understand, and you know, the city manager can't tell us what to do, just if we could have a process or something going forward, not just for us, but for all of the people who lead after us. Thank you.
So we have a motion to file that takes precedence. Roll call.
Council Bergman,
Yes.
Council Calorio,
Yes.
Council IGA, Council King,
No.
Council Merrill Carlson, Council Nguyen,
No.
Council Ojeda,
No.
Council Basillo,
Yes.
Council Russell,
Yes.
Council Toomey,
Yes.
Council Toomey,
Yes.
and Mayor Petty.
Yes. Okay, we're gonna go to 14B. On behalf of the Queer residents of Worcester and said residents' allies, request adoption of the attached resolution declaring the city of Worcester a sanctuary city for transgender and gender diverse people. Roll call.
I have a,
Hold on, Chairman.
What's that?
Hold on.
Okay,
Yeah, you
Councilor Calorio, then
Thank you.
Councilor Basillo.
thank you. I just have a few questions through the chair to either the city solicitor or to the city manager. I read the report that was given to us, and I think there's a lot of leeway as to whether we would lose federal funding. If either of you could talk about that, I would appreciate it.
Through the chair to the counselor, there is risk, as there is with everything, because of the unknown.
Wait a minute, sorry, I couldn't hear
However-
you. I'm sorry. If you could
it's-
just speak to the thing. You said, go ahead, I'm
Through
sorry.
the chair to the counselor, there is risk, as there is with everything, because of the unknown. However, cities across the country are adopting similar resolutions, and there's no historical precedence here as there is for the immigration, so this is uncharted territory.
Okay, so there is a possibility of a risk. Through the chair to the city manager, what nonprofits do we, because I know we get some federal money, and how much federal money do we get through the chair?
Through the chair to the council, I don't have that exact number. I can bring that as a report, but there is a lot of the funds that we receive, federal dollars, are subject to, they're typically HUD dollars, they're entitlement dollars, CDBG, home, ESG, et cetera, that we distribute to our community partners, but also that also pay for some of our staff, and especially in the Office of Economic Development. But again, I don't have that directly with me, but that would be something that I can provide as a report.
I understand. I don't mean to put you on. I was, at one point, I was on the advisory committee to distribute that money. Can you just speak to a few of the, just off the top of your head, some of the organizations that is it Friendly House, is it ACE? I mean, what are some of the organizations that receive federal money?
City manager.
Through the chair to the councilor, historically, there's been a large number of organizations in the city, from like the ones you mentioned, Friendly House, Boys and Girls Club, Centro Las Americas. I mean, there's a lot of community-based organizations in the city who have received numerous funds to be able to provide their services.
I know there was about maybe close to 100 organizations that receive funds. In some of them are small, some of them are startups, people that really have a desire to help the city, and some of them are larger ones and been into place for years, like the Friendly House et cetera. So through the chair to the city manager, just one final question. If we don't receive those federal monies, what would that look like for the city? Would that impact the city?
Manager Batista.
Through the chair to the council, if the federal government decided to shift their programs in the funding allocation of those programs, it could have an impact in our community, and we would have to work as a city to find other ways to support those current programs in our community.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor Petty.
Thank you. Like I said last week, I understand there's always a risk to something. This is something that should be passed tonight, and I plan on voting for it. I don't care what your beliefs are on certain things or not, but just to take out the word transgender out of the vocabulary in the federal government is just plain wrong, right? It's just plain wrong. You're dehumanizing people. You shouldn't dehumanize nobody. And not here in the city of Worcester. I think city of Worcester's had a good reputation. We should continue with that reputation and support our most vulnerable people here in the city. And that's what I plan on doing. That's why I plan on passing this, and I plan on voting yes, I should say. And then I know there's always a risk that City Solicitor talked about, but to me, it's not even a statute, really, if you think about it. It's not an ordinance that we're passing here. We're passing a resolution that's just saying, hey, we got your back. That's all it's saying. And, and that's what people are looking for. So they go home, you can go home and sleep safe at night here in the city of Worcester, instead of worrying the next day when they get up what's going to happen down in D.C. And what's the next statement that's going to come out. How we're going to eliminate the next set of group of people who someone doesn't like. So and that's why I think this is important. It's important for our city. Thank you.
I'll be the next speaker as the vice chairman, followed by Jenny Pasillo after me at District 1 City Council.
Councilor King.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Here we are again. You know, we got to this position now moving towards 4 weeks out due to leadership decisions. I think as we move forward, Mr. Chairman, our leadership positions have to be clear. It has to expedite the work of the city. And we should absolutely hold item when there's legitimate questions of legalities. We heard last week, we heard right here on the floor, city solicitor state what was restated today, 1 week ago. It comes down to constitutional rights, humanity, civil rights, and yes, there's an attack by executive order coming out of Washington, D.C. Mr. Chairman, we know that our grant money is based on the condition of law. It's based on the condition of law. To remove that from us is illegal. We heard last week that in no court has that been upheld. It's been challenged, it's been defeated, Mr. Chairman. And then to conflate the issue of immigration with creating a safe haven by resolve for this community is misplaced. Mr. Chairman, this legal response also includes sort of the notion and kind of speaks to what some folks have been talking about, some of the fear that's been put out there regarding funding. I'm a frontline social worker for 30 years in the city. I know what those grants do. I know exactly what they do. Mr. Chairman, but as it states here, no historical precedents. No historical precedents. We can't simply move on. I've received some phone calls, move on, move on. We've heard tonight, move on. We got to move forward, Mr. Chairman. This is the first volley. Oh, actually the second. We'll get into that when we get into Black History Month. But this is another volley that's being lobbed against us. And the question comes down to, and I apologize for my language, but it's a will we piss off Trump question, which is not a legal question, Mr. Chairman. Not a legal question. We got to move forward. Not on. We need to move forward. And we heard tonight the question about what happens when protections are assumed. I've been asked, what is a resolution? I've been asked this over the last 10 years. This is my 10th year. What does it matter what the council says? Well, it matters a whole lot. It matters a whole lot, which is what we've heard over the last few weeks. We know the trickle-down impact of what's being said on the national level. It's been repeated by the mayors, repeated by folks who testify, as well as other folks here, particularly in this matter regarding trans and gender diverse community. We have an opportunity here. We're going to have many opportunities with regards to the next 4 years to stand up and do what's right. We're going to have opportunities to stand for what we believe in as a city and to prove it. What do we espouse as a city? It was mentioned that we have a broken union in this country. I happen to not think that 6-5 votes are divisive. I think it's democratic. I don't think that's a lack of unity. But what we have going on here is a lack of unity, Mr. Chairman. We have to come together now in this moment. We've heard powerful firsthand testimony about life experiences. And I said this last time, and I'm going to reiterate it. There's absolutely should be no hesitation for us as a city to ensure that we are not providing, and this is from the resolution, any information to any individual or out-of-state agency or department regarding the provision of gender-affirming health care, gender-affirming mental health care, and I'll say life care in the city of Worcester. It's very easy to vote and to resolve that we will be a sanctuary for the LGBTQ plus community. Absolutely. And that we will not cooperate with any federal or state attempts aimed at harming transgender and gender diverse people, and that we will ensure that those people have access to their healthcare, housing, education, employment without fear or without discrimination, Mr. Chairman. It's a simple vote. A simple vote. We have to do what we can to protect everyone. Everyone. But we're here tonight about the LGBTQ plus IA2S community, Mr. Chairman. We'll have times later on where I'll talk a little bit about the attacks on the black community. But this is what we're here for. Stand up, move forward together. This must be a unanimous vote. This has to be a unanimous vote. Do not leave it to question. Do not leave it to question. Fear isn't the answer. It's not the answer. And we know that if and when they come for the rest of us, that we have a whole bunch of folks on the state level, Attorney General's office, and more that will protect us and protect the people that we're elected to serve, Mr. Chairman. This is an easy yes. An easy yes. An easy yes. Mr. Chairman, as I mentioned previously, I filed the orders to create the LGBTQ plus commission. I know we've had folks testify over the last few weeks about difficulty and delays since August in getting on that commission. And I'm happy to hear that things are recently moving forward, Mr. Chairman. That particular commission is for policy and matters pertaining to this community. It's a vessel. It's not the only answer, but it's a vessel to move us forward together. And guess what, Mr. Chairman? We all individually have difficult questions to answer. We do. And Mr. Chairman, sometimes that resolute advocacy can be heightened. And in those instances, it needs to be. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I support this.
Council Pasul?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to begin with an apology, one directed to all the supporters who shared their stories and experiences with us. I am sorry that this is our current reality, and I'm sorry that the federal government they not only refuse to accept people for who they are, but they're actively trying to erase the trans and gender diverse community. I like to work and make a difference in my own way. We're all...
Excuse me, let her finish.
Okay. I take notes on what everyone says. I look over them after the meetings, throughout the week. So in a way, I'm always kind of a week behind because I'm not as quick as my colleagues, and I'm not good at giving speeches. That doesn't mean I don't care. I'm just better at connecting with people directly. And I'm learning how to do better and reflecting in between meetings. However, the past few weeks have taught me that it's important to stand up. Everyone's voice matters. But I have the privilege of being a city councilor, and there are times where voting the right way isn't enough. And I am sorry that I haven't spoken up on this more. That's okay. To my colleagues who chose to hold the item, I hope the report we receive provides you with the clarity to move beyond hesitation. We can't lead from a place of what if. True leadership requires bold action. No, that's okay, don't even bother clapping for me. When I cast my vote on issues like this, I think about who I'm voting for. So I'm voting for the thousands of LGBTQIA+ individuals in our city and those silently watching from afar. I'm voting for Siobhan, who spoke about her 9-year-old non-binary kid that loves video games and playing the trumpet and being the 4th grade class rep, or Reverend Adams, who spoke about her son being trapped in a bathroom stall while people pounded on the door because they're trans, thinking they were going to die. Your words have so much meaning and so much weight, and I really do think about them throughout the week, and I look over my notes and just try to understand and do better. But I'm also voting for my family and the world I want my children to grow up in. And one of the biggest blessings in my life has been learning from my kids, and if there is one truth that remains constant, it is this: hate is taught. It's not something children are born with. Last week, a resident spoke at public participation, and they had a shirt on that said, "Love is still the most powerful force on the planet." And I agree, but there is a lot of work ahead of us to protect people from hate, and this vote is a step in that direction. I urge my colleagues to consider the world we are shaping with our decisions. This vote is not just about today, it's about the future we are building and how people feel safe and protected in our city. Let's make this unanimous, a vote of inclusion, safety, and dignity for everyone. Thank you.
I think Council Russell, was next. Council Nguyen, I forget, I thought somebody, Council Russell, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I'll be brief. I believe it was 2 weeks ago. We kind of lost track. These meetings have been so energetic. That I think it was 2 weeks ago, before this resolution even came to this floor, that I got up at this desk and I pledged my support to this community to do what I can in my little role as a district councilor to stand up against the issues that our president is putting forward, with his executive order, basically saying that some folks just don't exist. And then last week, I got up and I said I was ready to vote for this. And Mr. Chairman, I'm ready to vote for it again. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Council Nguyen?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There is such irony in puffing out our chests as allies after voting to not be held accountable to transphobia and xenophobia. It's very impressive on this council, but I was going to say this at the end of my speech, but I wanted to say it and put it at the forefront, which is I want to really share my gratitude and my indebtedness to the community that came out and those who couldn't but have been in solidarity this whole time. As we celebrate Black History Month, I want to uplift the beautiful intersectionality of our beings, to evoke and channel our ancestors through the chamber walls, the two-spirited indigenous people of this land who endured and survived colonization and genocide, Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera, who began Pride fighting for safety against police brutality, and Black Trans Lives Matter. And trans immigrants belong here. And I love the disability justice that y'all have brought to the council in the past few weeks. Our being is so resilient, and our trans lineage is deep and ever so powerful. We make this world, this divinity runs through our veins. And I want to thank you all for your brilliance, bravery, commitment, and every atom of your being. You choosing to be brave, to survive, to show up is what will get us through these years, and for our descendants to find their liberation. You are someone's lifeline right now. And for that, the entire universe is forever indebted to you for being who you are. And I want to say that, I had a lot of things I could say to make this resolution safe, but I think a lot of people did that already. And also, I'm not gonna focus because it appeals to cowardliness to try to make this resolution safer than it is. And it's also a misdirection and a missed opportunity to be brave and lead with a moral compass. I believe it's okay to take risks to keep each other safe. That, to me, is love and leadership. As legislators, which I know some of my colleagues won't claim, but that's okay, are we choosing to uphold and amplify our current state laws that protects our trans and gender diverse community? Or are we gonna support Trump's fear-mongering tactics and cower to his administration? That is being sued left and right, mind you, for his executive orders and actions that are most likely illegal and unconstitutional, but still serves as a looming threat and danger if we don't put in these protective measures. And at the end of the day, the question is what people already shared, which push comes to shove, will this elected body violently out trans and gender diverse people for federal dollars? Is that your moral compass? Is the bar that low to sell out your constituents? If you are scared at being targeted as a city to lose funding to declare ourselves a sanctuary city for trans and gender diverse people, can you imagine how scary it is to walk on the street and be called faggot? Or be called it? Can you imagine being scared to be killed just for walking? To have to hold your needs for the bathroom? Or that your loved one is suffering from suicide ideation because of this political climate? And, folks sit here scared, and they're scared of hours of testimony expressing fear. And when we look at people with tears and anxiety and we call for decorum, people have spent over 9 hours, probably 10 by now, teaching this council body what our equity officer can't really offer. We taught them lived experiences for 9 hours. That's a whole workday and more, all right? So, and this is your constituents. And what I have seen is that most of y'all haven't learned much, and that's really sad, sort of depressing, especially our political climate. But at this point, it's considered willful ignorance, and there is no excuse for that. What happened in the last month is active civic engagement, and I'm tired of my community being treated with disrespect and me being treated with disrespect, because none of them went as far and as low as calling someone it. Which hasn't even been apologized for, which is fine, I guess. I mean, we got bigger fishes to fry on council, apparently. But, you know, I do want to say that Worcester has been a sanctuary city, as last week people said, but it is because of our community, not because of city council. And so while many of y'all claim yourselves as allies, you are claiming the work of the community and not doing your own work. And so this is the time where we get to choose to take risk and not worry about needing to sell out trans and gender diverse communities, and that you're not an ally if you're not willing to take risks. And you're not an ally if you pass votes without action and follow through. And you're not an ally if you stay silent while fighting for decorum, while trans, non-binary, and queer people are at stake and telling you about their vulnerable lived experience. And all you want to do is do decorum. You are enablers and protectors of transphobia. And you could keep doing and performing drag as an ally all you want. And I do want to challenge my colleagues who are allies to hold the city manager accountable to your political will of the $500,000 you said you would put for the Queer and Transvisibility Fund. Thank you.
Well, do we have Councilor Hida, followed by Councilor Bergman?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be brief. I believe, with everyone here, I believe it's common sense where we're at. I see it as we must support this community. To me, this community is our teachers, caretakers, friends, and family members. So I agree with the councilors. It's real interesting, and I got to be honest. And I try to be as honest as possible. It's like I'm on another world. You guys are over there, and I'm over here. But this isn't easy, right? As a counselor new to this, there's a lot of things that are going on, right? And as a District 4 city councilor, I wish I could do more, right? I leave here wishing I can do more, and it's very interesting, right? I have, not to make excuses, you know, as a assistant principal, it's a busy job, right? And other things, a family member, you know, husband, father. There's a lot that's going on. But like I said, I see this community as everyone else. I don't see any difference. So I agree that we need to, with Councilor King on this one, it should be a unanimous vote. But if it isn't, understand that there are people here working for you, right? Let's respect that. So I will always say I won't understand the pain and struggle. I would love to get a better understanding, but that's a tough thing because that's the life you live every day. And I've said this many times, and I know it's really tough. So there are council members here that are supporting you and believe in you. And the rest, I believe, really care about what's going on. And we're in a tough situation, and it's hard to believe it. I understand. I really do. But we're here for you. I'm here for you. So let's get this vote going.
Councilor Bergman?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do agree that this vote should take place, and take place tonight it shall. I will say that I'll end any suspense by saying, can't speak for others, but it will not be a unanimous vote. But I'd like to at least have a few minutes to give my reasons. People can agree or disagree. It's a democratic process. And people can snicker, make all the noises they want. I've heard it all before. Doesn't really matter to me.
All the noise we want? We said all the noise we want.
Please let him finish.
They can make all the noise you want, but I'll just ask you to recess.
What size would you like me to sew your hood?
So again, this is a democratic process, and I'm not going to be bullied or intimidated by anybody
Council Bergman,
here,
over here, please.
or colleagues as well, into making this unanimous vote when I feel there are other issues that I'm concerned about, in addition to the issues that are brought forward, which I am concerned about. There are two sides that have to be heard out. One is the 200,000 plus other people in the city of Worcester that we run into 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. Tuesday night is not the only night we do our job. We run into people in the grocery store, in the supermarkets, in the delis, in the cafeterias, in the Dunkin' Donuts, and they tell us their opinions as well. So although there are strong opinions here on Tuesday night, which I respect, and I said that last week, I did say that last week. There are also strong opinions out there of many more people who tell me that they are very concerned, not about money, because this has been characterized as this is money versus people. That money, or those dollars, go to the very livelihood of the very people that are concerned about the possibility of losing those dollars. Now, I've heard.
Please let him finish. Whether you agree or disagree, show each other some respect. Go ahead.
I don't respect fascists.
Let me say something about fascists too.
Counsel,
because
over
I don't
here,
know
please,
a
over
lot
here.
about a lot of things, Mr. Chairman, but I do know something more than the average person about fascism. And fascism is trying to bully and intimidate people to think the way you think because they want to have
Point
a
of
different
order,
opinion.
I don't see how this is related.
Let me just continue on, Mr. Chairman.
Point of order, I don't see how this is related.
There's been comments made about we're living in unprecedented times. We are. So any precedent that came before us in 2016, 17, or 18 that had to do with executive orders that were were denied in court, and therefore the argument's been made, well, this has never been sustained in court. We have the Constitution on our side. I'll remind everybody here today that there are 9 justices, 3 of which have been appointed since 2017, when the last time these cases were tried in unison. So I don't have a high degree of confidence that the outcome that happened in 2017 is going to be the same outcome that happens today. Having said that, when I look at the resolution, I see nothing in the resolution that adds any more safety that doesn't already exist. You go on to the whereas sections, it talks about Commonwealth of Massachusetts law regarding not restricting access to gender-affirming care, so on and so forth. I have to weigh what new rights does this resolution give versus what it doesn't, and there's no new rights that this resolution gives that don't already exist. However, there's the potential for federal dollars to be taken away from the city of Worcester. And they're not just dollars, I'll repeat again. These are money that goes into school programs and housing and other things that we just don't know about. I may have interpreted what the city solicitor said differently than others, but when I hear uncharted waters, I don't hear that it's safe to do this. I hear that it's a big question whether we should do this or not as far as what the outcome may or may not be. So I'm sorry that, in my professional life and in my life as a city councilor, contemplation of unintended consequences is something that I do daily, nightly, and something I lose sleep over. And I can't say with 100% confidence that the unintended consequences of doing something that doesn't add any more protection than already exists isn't going to cause harm to the other 200,000 plus people in the city of Worcester. Respectfully, you can disagree with what I have to say. Thank you. And let me just add one more thing. That the language in here that says sanctuary city and refers to immigration and other things are buzzwords under the current administration that need not have been there. And this could have been put forward similar to what the Attorney General, Andrew Campbell, had to say recently about her belief in how to protect the LGBTQ plus community in a way that would not have included these buzzwords. It would not have caused the amount of concern that I have, at least, on what happens in the future regarding federal dollars. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Please. Okay, we're going to take a vote on this. Yes or no vote. So these are motions to approve.
Chairman?
Roll call.
Mr. Chairman,
Roll call.
I had my hand raised.
Oh, I'm sorry, Council Toomey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In listening to my colleague, Councilor King, he mentioned the phrase safe harbor. a safe haven, I should say. And I wonder if some of the concerns that my colleagues have regarding this, if we were, which by the way is a synonym for sanctuary city, safe harbor, or safe haven, if using that phrase, or which one of those phrases, would make a difference in the vote in becoming unanimous, I think that that's something that I'd like to have considered.
Okay. Is that
So that's
Council King? Are you all done? I'm sorry, Council Toomey?
no, that's in the form of a motion. Thank you.
Okay. Council King?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through the chair to the administration, my understanding in this legal response, it says here that you're deemed a sanctuary city when ordinances are enacted. In the instance of immigration, ordinance enacted to restrict police departments from sending information. Through the chair to the administration, I just want the solicitor to explain the difference for the public between an ordinance and a resolution, through the chair.
Madam Solicitor?
Through the chair to the counselor, it's any ordinance, formal policy or such that would trigger that sanctuary term legal definition. A resolution is more of a global expression of support.
Through the chair to the administration, is the ordinance considered legislation?
It's a local law, through the chair.
That's a yes.
Through the chair, it's a local law, yes.
And is a resolution a local law?
Through the chair, no.
Mr. Chairman, this is clear. We can go back and forth with the, different opinions regarding the legalese, but this is very simple, as you mentioned yourself. Let's not split hairs here. I'm not afraid, Mr. Chairman. This is, and I would ask if I could speak on the Black History Resolution out of order after this, perhaps, but this is what this time is about, meeting the moment, Mr. Chairman. And that's what we have done as a community, as a country over the years when it comes to an attack on civil rights and on human rights, and in this instance on the rights of LGBTQ plus IA2S folks. It's time to stand up, Mr. Chairman, and meet the moment.
So the
Mr. Chairman.
Councilman One.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to speak on changing the term to safe haven. I know a lot of constituents and people who testified here saying they were very disappointed with the school committee doing an All Lives Matter to the LGBTQ Safe School resolution, and I hope that we're not doing the same, as well as I believe an amendment has to go through the residents' consent, and so I don't know.
I don't think it has to go through. They can make the amendment, we can vote it down. But
What?
the motion, I mean, yeah.
So it was a motion, not amendment for the, so could you repeat the motion, please?
The motion was to substitute the word sanctuary with, what was the word?
I think through the mayor to the council, I think safe haven, Councilor.
Safe haven.
Councilor
That's right.
Toomey, is that correct?
Safe haven or safe harbor, whichever is preferred. They're both synonyms.
Well, at least, words. But, okay, so I just want to clarify that the residents' petition goes before another motion. That's how we have done the other ones in the past, correct?
We usually ask, but is the
petitioner's here. Yeah, exactly.
is that a no?
But, I'm right here, petitioner's right here. But I just want to clarify, because you said it wasn't an amendment.
That's how it was worded, but it was a motion. It's a motion.
So,
Okay, so what takes precedent? That would be the,
Mr. Mayor, based on Rule 27, the amendment is 8, and to adopt as presented is number 9.
so the amendment, so the proposal is an amendment to this. We can take a roll call on that, and we can do a motion on this.
So is
It's
it
the
an
same thing.
amendment or a motion?
It's the same thing.
So it's a motion to amend
It's a motion,
their
correct, yeah.
petition, so wouldn't they have to consent to an amendment?
No, the council can put that on.
In the past, we legit sent back a
I don't remember.
petition to a citizen to get approval of an amendment. And so I'm confused
Yeah.
why now we don't need the consent of a petitioner.
I'm just saying, once council wants to withdraw it, but,
Mr. Chair, my intent was an effort to try to see if we could come to consensus for unanimous vote, and that's why I'm trying to,
I don't think, you're not in the room, so I can tell you you're not gonna have that, so.
well, just, that's what was my intent, was to try to assist in
I
that.
understand that, And the petitioner doesn't want that.
And if it's helpful, Counselor Toomey, you will not get a unanimous vote by trying to soften the resolution. So if you want to retract it, please do.
Okay,
Remove the question, Mr. Chairman.
yep, so we're going to vote on the, okay. So are you withdrawing the motion, Council Toomey?
Clearly, if that's what the counselor says that the room is
Yep.
saying, then fine, I'll withdraw it. I was just
Okay,
trying to see if we could get unanimous vote here.
okay. I understand, they were trying to see if it would work out, I get it. Okay, so roll call.
So, Mr. Mayor, 14B as presented by the petitioner, Councilor Bergman,
No.
Councilor Calorio.
No.
Councilor Hajia,
Yes.
Councilor King. Councilor King,
Yes.
Councilor Merrill Carlson,
Yes.
Councilor Nguyen,
Yes.
Councilor Ojeda,
Yes.
Councilor Pasillo,
Yes.
Councilor Russell,
Yes,
Councilor Toomey,
Yes.
and Mayor Petty.
Yes.
Motion for reconsideration, Mr. Chairman.
Motion for reconsideration, roll call.
Councilor Bergman,
No.
Councilor Calorio,
No.
Councilor Hajia,
No.
Councilor King,
No.
Councilor Merrill Carlson,
No.
Councilor Nguyen,
No.
Councilor Ojeda,
No.
Councilor Pasillo,
No.
Councilor Russell,
no.
Councilor Toomey,
No.
and Mayor Petty.
No. All set. Okay, we're gonna move on to the agenda.